Oh, it's like, hey, we go live, and I'm like, my gastrointestinal system's like, hey, now would be a good time to burp.
Why not? It started with "excuse me" as opposed to "good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the show." You know,
Perdón.
that's
Yeah,
how we do it.
that's great.
It bears repeating. Thank you very much for everybody hanging out with us on the Saturday. Sorry, Saturday on Thursday. Yeah,
Yeah.
ready to go. I'm wanting it to be a weekend already.
It's been that kind of a week.
It's
We
been
we
that kind
both
of.
like jumped into the pre-show window here about 10 minutes beforehand, and you're like,
Like,
it's been a day. It
it,
has been a day.
I mean, we did get a chance to hang out though, which so this is obviously not our
Yeah.
first time hanging out together. Juan and I
Today.
both today, like literally,
Yeah.
not even 3 hours ago.
I've seen
we got
so
a
much of you this week.
In person too. We got a chance to see
Yeah.
each other. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's a video coming out on my channel tomorrow where
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have a very lovely model to help me showcase the lens quality of phones versus standalone cameras, and it's
Almost
none other than Mr. TK Bay.
el jefe muy
And
importante aquí, señora. Yeah. No.
yeah, well,
Yeah. That's how.
I don't know why I responded to you in German. I was like, jawohl,
Jawohl. Das ist gut.
das ist gut, ja.
Das-
Where did that come from? It's been a day.
It's one of okay. Oh my god,
Wow.
crap! It's if that's how this is how the show's starting. Oh man, it's just downhill from here, right? No. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, folks. It doesn't get prettier than,
No,
than what you
no,
just
no,
saw.
no. There's been a lot of things going on. Obviously, there's a lot of announcements going on. We've had a very busy week. We've been pushing out content, going right and left. Juan's been doing really amazingly well on the channel, pushing out some content. And as you mentioned, tomorrow there's another video dropping in, which we're going to talk a little bit about today, but not giving out
A little
too
teaser.
much. Yeah, exactly.
We're not going to spell everything
Yeah,
out. 'Cause-
I don't want to mess up the video tomorrow. It's like everybody shows up and says, "Yeah, I saw it last night. It's cool. It's cool."
it's
I see Jeff's in the chat with us. I see Barry. I see
Hey.
David Burns, of course, always kicking it with us on this Thursday evening on March 10th. I had to think about that. 2022. Really
Yes.
bad day. Not bad day, but just busy stuff.
It's been a busy day.
Oh yeah, no, and I'm trying to get back into the groove of things. I kind of pushed out a couple of videos. Hopefully, shooting for one more video on Saturday, kind of parallel to the live stream on the Android Bay. But it's been a week. I know you pushed out a couple of videos. Android 12L desktop mode today. That was actually a nice one, out of left field. I didn't really was expecting it, but it was a nice way to talk a little bit about Android desktop development
Yeah.
or how things are coming.
Just kind of peek in on it before we kind of get into the next round of 12L and 13, just like where we're at. And then I really want to follow that up playing with some Samsung decks.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to dig in a little bit more on duos, because I'm hoping that duos will get a good 12L, and with the track that Microsoft is on, I think that could be really interesting too. And just
Yeah.
I feel like if we let it go too long in between talking about some of these features, it's like the techies get real bad at doing but phones should only do the phone things. Like, I've got a couple people in my comments that are like, but who would want to do more from their phones and get more value for their purchase? I would just buy another computer. And you're like, yeah, but you see, if your phone could be a computer, you wouldn't need to.
Well, I mean, the reality, I mean, you and I have been really kind of like championing and talking about desktop experience.
Yeah.
The folks over at Nextdoc know us both by name and are literally, they've extended an invitation for us to come over, which I should take them up on, by the way.
We got to do that.
And we should go down.
Please do, and loop me in, and we'll.
Oh, no.
'cause to me, that's like a Willy Wonka visit. Like, I need to see where all of these beautiful laptop docks are being.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, literally, I mean, the moment they saw me, it's like, hey, where's Juan? It was like I said, he's not, like he's landing this time, and it's like, we'd love to have you guys come over. They have an office that's actually not too far from where we are, relatively. I mean, obviously, within an hour or so worth of drive for either. But the long story short is, they've been championing the conversation of desktop experience you're utilizing the true power of your smartphone and leveraging it with I'm saying a dummy dock, but essentially a host, a dock that has a built-in battery, keyboard, mouse, and display, like the next dock that you were showing in your video. And something like the Xperia, the One Mark II, or even using, like you were showing in your video, the OnePlus 9 Pro, I think, with Android 12. And yeah, absolutely, the 360. Seriously, one of their best solutions. And they have
This thing
other
is
options,
great.
by the way.
I
They
love
have.
it.
Do you remember the one I sent you? I think I sent you a couple of pictures from CES.
Yeah.
They have that nice monitor with a built-in dock. Like,
Yeah.
seriously focusing on that whole experience of Android
Well,
and desktop mode.
and because we've also played with some of those small form factor PCs, like
Yep.
the Azules or the
Oh
Intel
yeah.
Nooks. We obviously got news about was it a Mac Studio? Something like a Mac Mini would fit really well on there, and then it's just one other cable. It's so silly to say, but I got a fancier new monitor. It's a little pricey. I did a review on it, but it's a much higher quality IPS panel than what I was using before.
Oh
And
yeah. I think
even
that was
it,
wasn't that the
the
LG one?
Innocent.
Oh, the Innocent one. Yeah, but that was
No,
more
no, no.
for
I was really thinking of shopping the LG one, and the folks at Innocent reached out and were like, "Hey, do you want to review one?" And I was like, "Well, yes, I do." And then we talked about a media buy. But even this, which is kind of billed as like an art monitor. It's like the highest consumer level versus like the starter entry level for more professional graphics work.
Yeah.
This kind of kicks you over into that more professional tier. Even it has a USB-C port I can just plug a phone into, and like boom, there it is on this really nice IPS 4K display with an amazing color gamut on it. Even this thing is supporting this kind of direct cable connection. So the whole notion of like a Next dock having like a little panel where you can put a Mac Mini and then another input where you can just switch over and go to your phone. It to me is just a no-brainer that you'd want to get more power out of your gadgets, and
you should.
hopefully,
Yeah.
and what I'm hoping is like this is like a trend in which for my family, if we're going to visit each other, if there's like a TV or a spare monitor, like I want to set up like a little Next dock, so the next time my brother comes to visit, he could just like plug in his laptop and have a dual display, or plug in a phone and work directly off of that. I mean, it's so, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you use all of this tech to kind of like flesh out all of these other concerns? So again, anytime I do a desktop video, I had another, like the guy left the conversation because I feel like after a point, like there's just no point arguing with me because I'm completely right.
No,
He was like,
yeah,
well,
of course.
why wouldn't you buy a Chromebook? And you're like, well, every time you upgrade your phone, your laptop gets more powerful versus the Chromebook, which is just going to stay the same. And then after 5 years, it won't get updates. Well, your phone won't get updates for 5 years. And like, are you telling me you're not going to update your phone in over 5 years? And then he was like, oh, well, but I mean, like, I would still want to have 2 full computers. Like, would you though? Already, your phone is more powerful than the Chromebook. So why would you want 2 computers if one of them is just a web browser?
No, it's. I think it's the reality. It's of the, you have to try it to appreciate it, and I think sometimes some people find it easier to counter a point without necessarily trying in it, to try to have like both sides.
Yeah.
So the issue thing is, what I think most people don't realize is it truly runs DeX like a laptop experience from a Samsung's experience. When LG was running their desktop mode, it was actually pretty decent running on an LG straight off on the from the V60, I think.
The last couple updates for that era, for V60, Velvet, and the Wing, from LG side, the software support has actually been phenomenal. And now Screen Plus is almost as good as DeX, even though LG's basically out of the market entirely. It's like, oh,
Yeah, no. And I think that's the limitation that we're looking in. Availability for desktop experience right now is limited to a certain number of devices, and I'm not talking about straight up Android 12. I'm talking like EMUI. EMUI specifically is only available on devices that are made by Huawei. So we still have desktop mode experience here.
So I took it back. I even charged it up. My Honor View 20.
View 20. Yeah, the V.
It's still so good today.
I thought you were going to say it's still Chevron great, but yes, no.
It's like butter. No, I mean I plugged it into my newest Next dock, and you're like, this is this is a nicer over. I mean, I really do like the EMUI desktop mode better than DeX. Even just how they do their little control bar down at the bottom, where all of those are active panels that you can interact with to get into your network settings, to get into your clock settings. The app drawer looks like it came directly off of a full-fledged PC. I mean, it's organized so much cleaner.
Well, I like the fact that it doesn't fill up to your entire screen like the way DeX does, right? EMUI does that in a nice way where it's still a box.
It panels up.
Yep.
Yep.
So
So Dex,
it's nice.
Dex still has plenty of room to be refined, but I feel Samsung is probably looking at Apple and saying, well, why would we give someone the ability to turn their phone into a more capable computer if we could then convince them to buy a phone and a tablet and a laptop, just like Apple does? And I worry that because the Z Flip sold okay for a folding phone and didn't have Dex, that they're going to use that as data to say, but people don't need features. They'll pay just as much money for a phone with less features.
Taking it out of context as well, but yeah, no, I'm with you. For me,
I did wacky arms, so there really wasn't any context. For me,
okay. It was one of the reasons I returned the Z Flip 3 was Dex.
Mm-hmm.
It was the fact that I felt like for a phone that is truly trying to make it so that it has the hardware, it has the capabilities. The feature not being there was purely them nitpicking features so that they don't include certain things and justify lowering the price for some reason. But Dex as a feature is a software build. It's purely software for them. It's not a hardware. Actually, I take that back. It could be also a limitation on how the hardware is on the PCB because display out also had to be functional for this exact same way as the other devices. But the story behind that is the Z Flip 3 is a perfect device for DeX because in its clamshell style, when it's closed, you plug that into a DeX dock and you don't even have to even use it much. It charges the phone. You're getting the 5G. You're getting the connectivity. You're getting all the functionality, the files off that system.
No, TK, you're way off, man. I mean, what you should do is spend like over $1,000 on a phone, and then also spend like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a tablet, and then. When you need more of like a laptop, you should spend like a couple $1,000s on that too. I mean,
yeah, I know. I'm doing it all wrong, and I think what I need to do is I need to kind of just focus a little bit more on building my Samsung ecosystem at home, and I think that's really what it is.
I mean,
although I feel like I'm one step away, but yeah,
there are a bunch of tiers where you haven't filled those holes with Samsung products, so you need to make sure that every. But short story incredibly long, I put out a video on desktop modes that had nothing to do with DeX, really. It was more just looking at the current state of Android's built-in desktop mode and how that's kind of turning into a dumpster fire. It's not as pretty as I was hoping it would be. It's
been the feature that's included but never talked about, never focused, never shined the light on. We've had desktop mode in one way or another for the last two generations. I mean, 10, 11, and 12 have it. 13 has it, and it still hasn't been the center. I mean, 12L is supposed to focus on it. So the hope essentially is what the video, I think Juan's video was trying to showcase is there are some improvements. It seems like Sony is doing a little bit better, and we can see some of those optimizations in there. But the goal obviously is to kind of dust it up and then make it a full-fledged feature. And I think till we see Google allow MHL output out of their devices, we won't really be able to see a lot of focus because this is a built-in feature to Android that they don't even allow us to use. Yeah. We have to use it either in OnePlus devices, Oppo devices, Sony devices that allow us to do it. Yeah, I wish that Pixel would do, and it can do so much. But one of the other videos that you said you were going to be dropping tomorrow, which is on the Vivo. But before we talk about the Vivo, I did want to talk a little bit about, since we were talking desktop modes and experience. For me, I dropped a video on Monday or Tuesday, I think, on the Tab S8 Plus, or the Tab S8 Ultra. Sorry, not the Plus. And as you
went
saw,
full big boy. It's a beautiful tablet.
Yeah, it is. But
it's crazy.
This is I didn't think it was this. And I don't want to make it sound like it's because Aditya is in the chat. I know it's going to happen. The more I say something, it's so okay. I didn't think it was going to be as big as it was, and
that's what he said.
Freaking A, man. Okay. Only Juan's After Dark. That's how exactly the show goes right away.
This is TK and Juan After Dark.
Exactly. Love you, Aditya. Love you. I hope you're doing well, man. So for me, it fit perfectly into what I needed to do. The Tab S7 Plus was for me. It was a large tablet, and it did exactly what I needed to do. It gave me the canvas to work, and the hope when I went for the Ultra as opposed to the Plus this year was also to get a little bit of more real estate. But I guess in my mind, I didn't do the math correctly, but it is actually substantially bigger. The bezels are so much smaller. It's actually sometimes an issue, but what I was trying to actually kind of long way of reaching into is the fact that because they included the keyboard dock with it and it does support native DeX UI, Samsung's really doing more functional, like leveraging, multi-purpose functionality on their devices, on their tablet more than it is on their smartphone. We have SD card support. The fact that I can actually, I went with the base model and I'm still able to get the benefit of all of, what the S8 Ultra is doing.
It feels like more of a proper computer, which is what Samsung phones used to feel like.
Yeah. And I think those are the things that you kind of, the one thing I will say that was a little bit of a surprise though, the S Pen from the S8 Ultra does not work on the S22 Ultra, which is weird. Like the Note doesn't. No cross.
I'm not. So
the Pro does, I think.
I don't always have the highest expectations for Samsung products, and this makes me really snarky in my videos. I'm actually not too surprised because I think Samsung has continuously played this game with varying pen touch technologies, and it's always been a back and forth. Back when the Note tablets had their own S Pen solution that was different from the Note phones. I don't know why they play this game, and I wonder if it just comes down to we got a deal on this kind of digitizer, so it was going to be cheaper for us to slap this in the tablet than the more compatible solution that goes into our phones. It seems to be that kind of a generation to generation business decision, or someone at Samsung says, hey, now we can sell a new S Pen that has crossover compatibility for the Note and for the Tab, and that'll be $150 stylus, just like the Apple Pencil. If it's not something like that, then I think it's just a component decision based on what's going to be cheapest for them to manufacture.
But it is always kind of it's a limiting factor for me.
But it's annoying. Because
absolutely, because I'm switching from one device.
You want to say Samsung wants to make an Apple ecosystem, but they can't even get those kinds of compatibility. Lifestyle compatibility issues.
I think what essentially it is they're trying to get you to buy this, like you said before. Remember the Pro,
separate standalone,
the separate S Pro. Yeah, and I think that's what the biggest thing is, that this actually is multi.
They're still mad that the S21 Ultra didn't take off, because then people would have had to have bought all of their S Pens separately. Yeah, Samsung's just getting cranky.
Well, I mean, they're trying. They're copying. They're opening the book of Apple and trying to copy it. So the thing about it for me is it's truly a lot. It truly embodies the premium Android tablet experience that we have right now. Since we don't have any competition in that realm, I miss the days of the Xperia tablets, because those were also one of the most high. I mean, it was glass on glass, but it was just perfection in my. But
they
opinion.
were nice. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
It
very
felt
high.
Nice.
Yes. And you kind of get that experience now also with the S8 Ultra, the Plus, and even the Tab S8. So, in a way, I'm happy that Samsung's still doing that, and I'm also happy the fact that it's not limiting the flexibility of customizations. DeX works great. Good Lock works on it as well, and you can customize it to your heart's content. So that was my intention with the video on Tuesday, how to customize it first things. Yeah.
The video was solid, and it's kind of in the same position where I'm no fan of Samsung, I'm no fan of Apple. But I would say one of the markets that both of those companies seem to be tackling well. They're the only names in the game for tablets. There isn't anyone else. Well, excuse me, for ARM-based, mobile-focused operating system tablets. Because other than that, it's you move up to a proper PC and you get a Surface or something like that.
Well, I mean, with the size of this display, though, I mean, obviously,
you went full Schwarzenegger on that. You're like, the size of this display.
The size.
And then I saw like your forearms flex, and I was like, dang, he's been working out.
Exactly. This is my new fan. It's the Tab S8 Ultra fan. It's the fan edition.
Don't the fan. Oh, you nerd, and I love it.
I had to go there. The moment I said fan, I'm like,
Take your
look,
angry thumbs up and be done with your puns.
does this
I was
remind
gonna
you
make
of
a joke that
anything?
you were about to turn this into like a bad Jerry Rigs Everything Ben test by continuing to
No,
flop that thing around.
I will. No, actually, this is seriously.
It's pretty
construction
sturdy,
wise.
yeah.
It is very sturdy for the width. My only
It's
thing.
no iPad Pro.
No, obviously, yeah. No, this is hot garbage compared to iPad Air, even the one that
Yeah,
just announced.
well, because the iPad Pros were so easy to bend, and Apple does not get enough credit for making folding tablets. They
Because
did it first.
the tech is still, still being challenged. No, but what I was trying to show, because Aditya was commenting on in there. So the pen that comes with the Tab S8 Ultra, and there's just the word Ultra now is going all over. So Ultra is the new Pro. So you do basically get no love on nothing, and because Aditya was like asking us like, what happened there? So, and if you take the S Pen from, now let's do the other way around and start looking pens galore. It also doesn't work because no, Samsung wants to be able to control the entire experience. Oh, actually, take that back. Hold on.
So wait, the
No, this
Ultra
one.
works on the.
Yeah, it does. So the
Tab.
Ultra works on and hey, you guys know now I have a ring light. Ta-da! No, but this is one of my problems. So here, come on. Okay, so it does work. The pen works, but then you can't use the one from the S8 Ultra on the S22 Ultra. So this is one of the weird. Like if I'm in the middle of working on the tablet, I can, I can't use the same pen on the phone. I have to make sure to take the pen out of the phone out. So, but it is, like I said, it's a convenience thing. If I'm using the Pro, it should work perfectly fine. And now I just have too many pens. But yeah, either way. Speaking of which, Apple. Since we're talking Apple, and let's just
Best segue ever.
I try.
So I know you have to be just incredibly critically excited to see yet another iPhone 6 make it to market. I know you've been saying all this time it's really a shame that Apple makes all these other phones, because genuinely they've been making the same form factor phone since the iPhone 6. They should just stick with that. I mean, that was just perfection.
And that's what we got. We got the new SE 2020. I don't know what you want to call it. The SE3, the SE 2022.
I'm going to go by
5G.
year at this point. Yeah. I think so. We had the original iPhone SE. That to me is the GOAT. That to me is still easily one of the all-time best Mighty Mouse communicator devices that's ever been made. The iPhone 5 form factor was absolutely brilliant for one thumb on the go, quick texting.
Absolutely.
Still has a headphone jack. My original iPhone SE is currently the best Apple, or I should say the newest best Apple solution to really get your value for money out of Apple Music. So if you're subscribed to Apple Music and you really want to hear that high-res audio, the iPhone SE is the way to go. That's the best way to do it. Anything else is a downgrade or requires a dongle, which isn't as good as the built-in headphone jack. No. And it's just really a bummer that Apple has lost their way. I'm sure the market will correct for that at some point and let people know that Apple products aren't always just brilliantly perfect, that they sometimes have some pros and cons.
And obviously, and it extends the lineup of devices. Actually, what I was really mostly excited about, which I don't think a lot of people are focusing on, and I don't know why, but Samsung's obviously not taking credit for this. But Apple finally invented, they copied, Samsung. They got the green color, and Sony doesn't want to. Sony does not want to focus on this.
It is a nifty color to finally invent.
It is, and I'm surprised.
My eyes went, oh wow, that's a color, and then that I really appreciated.
Ever since Samsung invented the black color a couple of years ago, I've been really a big fan of Samsung colors.
This whole period, because I'm being really snarky here. Where is it? I think I've got my iPhone SE right over here. So I've got the SE 2020 right here in my little wiener dog case,
I got
and
the
it's
same
still
color in a different wiener dog case, but yeah.
I mean, the red one is the one to get.
It is
Absolutely,
yeah.
completely
Project Red,
agree.
exactly.
the iPhone SE to me still represents one of those conversations that the rest of the tech industry doesn't tackle very well, which is a nice-ish communicator-focused device.
Yeah.
Where it really is just about, as easily as I can with one thumb, getting to navigating all of this stuff and punching out a reply while never having to engage my other hand. And Touch ID is still, I think, the best solution for that. Phone is unlocked before it's fully out of your pocket kind of use. But I also feel like with everything that we've seen, we kind of smirk and mock phones like the iPhone SE, but the iPhone SE by itself sells in the same kind of numbers as like a Galaxy S22. So when we really look at like what the entire Apple ecosystem represents and how little Apple really does play with the device sort of gradient, the choices of those devices, I understand why it's there. I just wish we could actually learn some of the good lessons from Apple. I would love to see a company get, I mean, because how, from iPhone 6 to 6S to 7 to 8 to SE to SE2. This is we're going on 6 full phone generations and rebuilds of kind of the same form factor. My wife has an iPhone 8, and it uses the exact same cases as what this new SE is going to use.
I did the same thing. I did mine with my wife on the iPhone 7. They had iPhone 7. They issued them the iPhone 7. Yeah. And when I got the IC like a couple of years ago, in 2020,
same case.
I gave her some. Yeah, I gave her some of the extra cases I had because it's the exact same, and it still is. I mean, at some point, I'm wondering. So don't get me wrong. I appreciate what Apple's trying to do. They're giving an entry-level iPhone. It's completing the 5-device tier process. And it looks like the SE is a bi-year kind of an experience anyways. They're not going to release it every year. We'll get it every 2 years. Makes sense. Runs the latest hardware, SoC that they offer. Obviously, now we have 5G. We're still using IPS. We're not jumping over to OLED. We're still looking at the same small form factor display. It's a step up, in my opinion. It's like you go in and you say, I want an SE, and then you see the iPhone 13 mini, and then you see the iPhone 13. And I think that's really where this is trying to get you. It's always that situation where it gets you through the door because you're like, well, this is a $430 iPhone. And they're like, oh, but if I pay a little bit more, I can get the 13 or the 13 mini, right?
Or I was going to upgrade the storage, but if I upgrade the storage, then I'm only $50 away.
I was going to say, the 430 is 64 gigabytes, still 64 gigabytes of storage entry. Yep. No phone should, so we are at the point now that 64 should not be an acceptable entry level. 128 is what used to be 64 and what 32 was.
But it's a pain point to get you to move
and it is, and that's what it is. It's a small enough of a pain point that when you get in, whoever's helping you there says, well, you're going to be taking a lot of pictures. Well, I think you should go to the 128. And if you go by to the 128 and you're like, well, you're already in iPhone 13 territory.
Yep.
So the story obviously is, as you said, it's not going to sell as much as people think it will. For us, obviously, we're more enthusiasts. We like to try everything. So we pick up the SE. We want to see how that form factor. But for me right now, it's like when I look at the SE 2022, with the exception of 5G, I'm getting the exact same experience I'm getting on the SE 2020.
Nothing they've talked about. So this is why I'm going to get cranky and why I'm still not jumping on anything Apple until I hear unequivocally that they're not going to be doing on-device content scanning. So I'm still not going to spend a dime with Apple until I know they're not going to be eroding consumer privacy protections. But none of my issues with the 2020 SE are going to be solved by putting in 5G and a more powerful SoC.
Yeah.
My biggest problems with this phone were, unless you're only using it for like casual interactions and texting and communicating and light social media, this battery nukes itself in a very short period of time. This phone is already using an engine too big for its fuel tank, so putting in a more powerful engine and a more powerful 5G radio does not help this. It makes the experience even worse.
I want to say the battery may be a little bit bigger.
Of course it's going to be, but they can't make it radically bigger because it's the same shell.
Well, no, but it's kind of like saying they gave you a little bit more battery, but then they give you a more powerful modem. So now the modem is actually going to take out everything.
They're going to advertise that, it's got a 5% larger battery, but the SoC drains 10% more power, and the 5G radio drains another 15%.
But don't worry, you have that option of disabling 5G and running on 4G on this
Sure.
brand new phone that you.
The carriers are so happy to help you out.
No, no,
When the
absolutely.
iPhone 12 dropped, they were all they were just so considerate and giving to help people disable the most advertised feature of the iPhone 12.
Dude, let's not get it. Oh, so speaking of disabling thing, I went through my own round of disabling carrier applications and processes in the background, and I had a very quick like a flashback or a deja vu to the days of where why I rooted my Samsung devices that I used to get from T-Mobile. Nothing against T-Mobile as a company. I understand what they're trying to do, but the reality is a phone that you buy should be a phone that you buy. And the fact that it is a Samsung branded through T-Mobile meant that T-Mobile has some applications and functions and services that ran in the background that should not be running in the background and installing apps without asking permission. So that to me was a little bit of I felt
That's a
very,
bad thing.
yeah, it's one thing to know that that T-Mobile does monitor and they like to gather some analytics for their networks and so on. I think every carrier does that. But having an application give me a notification telling me that we've just installed applications because we think this is going to improve your network connectivity, and then all I get was Amazon and T-Mobile Play, and I'm getting like shopping applications and Facebook. Like, where is that other than you making money from installing it? So I'm with you. I think if there is one thing I like about what iPhone does is that they have a little bit more power with OEMs, that they cannot force them to install these apps. So
They don't have more power with governments we disagree with. So if Russia wants them to put a whole bunch of objectionable software on the iPhone, that's just fine for capitalism. But I'm wearing my vaguely, revolutionary communist cap. So maybe I shouldn't go down that road too far.
too far,
in
and
the middle of our podcast.
that will be that will definitely be an episode of Juan After Dark, running very
Juan
soon.
After Dark just going off. I'm not going to tank the whole rest of what we're trying to do.
No,
here.
I mean, so obviously there was more things talked about, but I felt like I wasn't as excited about this SE as I was on the last one.
I'm not excited at all. It's not even. I was very excited for the last generation of SE because I felt like it did the SE mission well. This does not improve the SE.
No. I was excited more about the fact that it existed, not necessarily what it is. It's the fact that we're seeing a continuation. They're working with it. That's going to be every other year.
That's more fair
and
than
that was the only excitement I got out of it, because then when I saw what it was, I seriously felt like I have mine and it's still exactly the same. There's no benefit for me to upgrade to it. And then just for shits and giggles, I decided to go online and see how much would it cost? How much would Apple give me for my SE 2020? And it was basically $150 for my $400 phone, which, still, it's not that bad. But it's the other stuff that I think was also kind of put up. Which one?
No, I just want to see. No, I don't mean to interrupt. I was thinking out loud. I wanted to pull up Swappa and see
How much is
you
the
can
SE?
get $100. You said 150 for your.
It was 150 for the 2020,
SE.
which to me felt like was like basically just like a 35-40% value of what it was 2 years ago. Because that obviously was
that's
running on the
kind
A13.
of about what they're going for on Swapper right now.
Recently when I've noticed the trade-in values that I've seen.
Actually, you know
websites-
what? No, I mean if you can climb up to decent condition. Sorry, the first couple I saw were in like fair, like used condition, and they were
Mine is
150 to 170. There are a few that are going for like 220.
That's
so
not that bad.
when we're
Which is what I
talking
would
budget,
imagine.
that makes more sense to me. When we're talking budget phones and you've been using your SE for a while, but it's still in really, really clean condition, $70. That's a 50% price difference over what you're going to get from an Apple trade-in. This podcast not sponsored by Swappa.
No, but you'll frequently find us there because that's where I.
You know what? This would if you've got an iPhone SE, this would be a really good time to try and flip that phone.
Yeah.
The fact that it's still holding over 50% of its value, that's not terrible for a any budget focused phone.
And I think that's the thing that helps people appreciate what they have. I mean, yes, the thing is because it releases every 2 years, obviously the price may be less than what you typically would expect if it was just a year old. There was obviously a lot of other announcements. They talked about the brand new iPad Air supporting better pen inputs.
Was it that an iPad Air was getting the M1? Are we seeing
No,
the
no, it is
iPads
the.
all shift over?
I think the M1, yeah. So they're also they're going to shift the M1 even at the Air level, and but the new Apple Pencil second generation is also going to be supported here. USB-C finally across the board, yay!
Huzzah!
Although on a podcast that you probably will hear more about tomorrow or Saturday on the Mobile Tech podcast with Miriam, she's thinking that it's more than likely very soon at some point we're going to be seeing a portless iPhone. But I'll leave that conversation for
I think we're. I mean, that's
before
not
we see a USB-C version iPhone. That's what.
not to minimize what her prediction might state, but I feel like that's not necessarily a Nostradamus kind of prediction. I feel it's pretty clear Apple is building up sort of a collection of accessories that will be far more expensive than just picking up a USB-C cable, and that's going to be their solution for the iPhone. What I think is interesting is seeing the iPad Pro and the iPad Air start to merge. So now they're sharing more of the same guts. They're going to have access to the same SoCs, USB-C. That this is still their kind of.
It's entry level.
Yeah.
It's their budget style. I mean, it's their budget tablet, the Air. It's about $400 if I'm not mistaken. Roughly the same price as the SE, but I feel like if you're gonna pick up an SE, you know what I mean? Like it's a weird how pricing is, but I feel like it's from mobile computing. If you could pretty much due to the fact that it runs an M1, although it's still running iPad OS, it's not running Mac OS. You're obviously not getting the full potential of the M1 yet for like editing and rendering.
You're never gonna get the full potential of the
No.
M1 because then why would you buy a MacBook?
Why would you go for the MacBook Air if you have an iPad Air that does the same? Which kind of same conversation we had back when iPad started getting M1, and then you're like, why? Like you're giving me the M1.
I was one of those people that was getting like really excited for it because again, Apple has this lock on the hearts and minds of consumers where if we were going to start taking...
it's $599. Sorry, Michael.
Oh, $599.
Yeah. Michael's correcting me on that one. I thought it was $400, but I mean, I know it's the Air model, but yeah, sorry.
But I was one of those people who really did feel like, well, maybe Apple will finally start giving us that nudge where an iPad Pro with an M1 chip in it is going to start blurring the lines more. And when Apple locked it down as severely as they did, like, no, it's just an iPad. You can't do anything else with it but iPad things.
But we're going to give you the M1 anyways.
It completely deflated. I mean, that to me was like, oh man, I am actually getting a little Twitter-pated about what Apple's potentially doing here. This could be really disruptive. I'm so excited. Oh no, they're still keeping their artificial product divisions between phone and tablet. And
they will not.
desktop.
They will never cannibalize one line for the other, and that's the delineation. But I think at the end of the day, for me, one of the reasons why iPads never were very so full disclosure, I use a MacBook Pro, but I'm still using the i9 model. It's a couple years old as my work computer for my day job. So I do use a Mac. It's not like I'm not a Mac user. I don't edit on my Mac. I don't render. Obviously, this is different stuff. Day job work different than what I do for myself. I do know that a few of my friends use M1s for editing videos on their MacBooks, and they swear by it. And it's seriously, like I'm talking like rendering time, performance, and all of that. And I would love to tap into that with their new, professional level Mac, Mac Mini-esque Mac stations, basically that they're putting there. But it just kills me when I see saying, just for the sake of saying that the label says an M1 on it, you think it's what the other ones are doing, and it's pretty much just a label. That's really all it is. I mean, they have the SoCs obviously, but
But and not just that. I mean, I feel like this is just a part of the conversation that Apple marketing. I mean, Apple does such a good job of making people feel special for buying their products.
Absolutely.
But and I don't mean this to take away from the accomplishment that is the M1, because I think that is a pretty baller SoC, and it's definitely spurring a level of competition that we haven't seen from AMD and Intel for a while. But what we got out of the M1 was basically the continuation of the A series for tablets, And so they took that SoC experience and then they kind of crafted something a little ballsier, and that's where we get the M1.
Yeah.
So that's still, I mean, you can't now trifurcate your SoC division. They've already lost a couple key players in their SoC division. That's why I feel like the iPhone, from iPhone 12 to iPhone 13, we didn't see the same kind of bravado on all these amazing leaps in power and performance. We saw sort of a refinement year over
exactly.
year.
Yeah.
That helps the iPhone 13, but it doesn't necessarily leapfrog what Apple was typically able to accomplish. And I think, we're starting to see, like, you can't keep a division running SoCs for phones, SoCs for tablets, another AX series of SoCs for tablets, and this M series SoCs for laptops and desktops. So it only makes sense. You have to pick. Does your tablet kind of get a performance nerf and you only go with your phone SoC, or do you use the overkill M series SoC but then make sure it's software limited so you can't do too much with it? And so you're kind of in an impossible middle zone for the iPad. Someone is going to be mad either way. It's either the phone style or the laptop style, but you're still kind of selling the same iPad experience that you've always gotten.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the biggest thing with their doubling down on it. All they're doing though is that now they're blending their Pro with their Light with their Air experience and giving you more functionalities across the board.
Well, they can't. They have nowhere to upgrade the Air to because they don't have an A15X
exactly
SoC, so they've got to go with an M. Because that's the only continuity, that's the only upgrade path that they've got, is to use their laptops. But I did kind of want to chat. Have you read up any on the M1 Ultra?
I was about in my mind as you were talking. I was looking. I was like, so there's M1, M1 Pro, M1 Max, M1 Ultra. Like their naming convention in there. But the Ultra for me, honestly, I feel like it's where the
it's like plus.
Well, so for me, I was thinking Goku Vegeta fusion dance style kind of thing.
Right. Well, that's kind of what the Ultra is.
Yeah, it is. They fused two M1 Pros, two M1 Maxes, and they're like, okay, well, this is the Ultra, baby. That's how we rock it. We're gonna connect it. We have a bridge. We have a custom bridge, and they're showing you the graphics on how they did that. Essentially, yeah, they took two M1 Maxes and they basically said, look, we're going to just cut it, for the lack of the word, balls to the wall, 128 unified memory on this to be able to perform baller 8K. I think what did they say? Eight simultaneous 8K feeds at the same time. Like I was like,
yeah,
crazy.
But I mean, for all of their claims though, what we have is a bridge. I would highly recommend checking out Tech Potato.
I was about to.
Dr. Ian recently having stepped down from his role at Anantech. He's got a pretty good video out on this, kind of describing what the potential or theoretical max and limits might be of this type of SoC design. And there are very few people I trust to speculate on this kind of stuff. He is one of the few that I think, like, okay, he probably knows what he's talking about, and he's still caging it as, this is what I think they're doing. Might be something different, but it is kind of interesting to see that for how impressive the M1 Max is, an Apple solution in tying two of these together, we're still gonna have to put this through paces to see where this bridge solution might not completely live up to Apple's marketing. And this is another one of those frustrating things where if it gets put in the hands of a YouTuber who's going to render a video under totally normal video quality settings in Final Cut, you're not really taxing what could be interesting about a solution like this. And we also can't get to sort of that end conversation where they're talking about this crazy memory bandwidth, but they might only be able to dedicate, because we don't know how the lanes of this PC are organized to funnel information through complex processing units. So if you've got bottlenecks, then some of these big, huge bar graph benchmarks don't mean what you think they'll mean when you put a real program in that box and try and get a result out of it. I'm critically impressed with the Max. The Max is an incredible piece of silicon, and this solution is kind of Threadrippery, and I still have my old Threadripper. I still haven't upgraded my PC, so I'm definitely a fan of like get a bunch of chiplets and staple them together, and you can do something pretty ridiculous with it. But I'm always critically anxious to see like they're promising us, $50,000 worth of performance in a box that costs around $8,000. I don't trust Apple when they make claims like that because I feel they're always so hyper specific about it outperformed this box that was 4 times more expensive in this one tiny slice of a synthetic benchmark that operates in no way, shape, or form how you will really use a program as complex as video rendering or CAD design or something in your own workflow.
Well, and what I also found it very interesting is that even though with that solution being done the way they did, but they also separated like the iMac experience where I think a lot of people were waiting for iMacs. They separated that experience. Now you have to buy the monitor by itself, the PC by itself, and you have the Max at 2,000 and then the Ultra at the 4,000 starting level point. It's that whole delineation, a la carte kind of thing that they're trying to do now, where it's going to cost you more. But it is, like you said, the reality. I mean, we all know about the whole adding multiple GPUs, SLI connections and running, multiple NVIDIA. It doesn't always translate to better performance if your system is not only optimized for it, but the application that you're using is also designed to leverage the usage of both GPUs at the same time. Not every video editor could use both GPUs, even if you did have to. So as you said, having multiple CPUs connected together just to get you that, one benchmark overall performance, performance there. The reality at the end of the day, this is made for specific users. I hope whomever ends up becoming a user of the 4,000 model can leverage and use all the power that it has. I think the Max is way more than anybody ever really needs from the level of where the M1 has been performing. I'm basing it based on the lowest common denominator. Even the base level M1 still outperforms some of the older generation, rendering and not gaming. I'm talking specifically production style.
No one buys Macs for gaming. That's a poor, poor.
But it's an M1. No,
it's your money.
I'm interested to see what they offer. I think the base model, the M1 Max, is definitely going to be maybe more where most people go to. I'm a little bit torn with the configuration that they do, but at the end of the day, it is exciting to see what they're doing. I want Windows to get off their butt.
It's interesting to see what they're doing.
But I want to see Windows get off their butt and start figuring out, like, dude, we are so far behind on this race. It's going to be pointless at some point. You know what I mean? Like
it's going to be complicated, but it's at least encouraging. If you would ask me when Intel 10th Gen came out, if Intel was going to be able to iterate and become more competitive against the chiplet strategy from AMD over 2 generations, I would have laughed. Because often our roadmaps for CPU designs are like 4 years out, or 2 to 4 years out. And to see how quickly they have reorganized, restructured, and now with 12th Gen, this is a very different Intel than I was expecting to see bringing products to market. In fact, AMD is now like kind of in a much more even back and forth for CPU design, especially laptop CPU design, where you can win some fights in multi-core, but you're going to lose some fights in single core. Intel can surprisingly pull some power efficiency tricks that now AMD is falling behind on. And with pressure from Apple, and with any kind of interest in that next, I forget what the new Qualcomm 8
the ATX Gen 3.
Yeah. So with that bringing a whole bunch of X1 performance cores to a laptop-style chip, and Lenovo actually using that in a ThinkPad, I'm much more encouraged to see where that business grade compute power solution somewhere in between what we expect from a Core i5 to a Core i7 is going to be really well satisfied. We're going to have some phenomenal competition, some choices that are going to be better for just raw compute power, some choices that are going to be better for battery life.
Yeah, yeah.
When we look at something like the Mac Studio, I'm anxious because I want to see professional grade products that still give us access to the internals. I know you don't really do that with the system on chip design, but it makes me anxious when someone says, like, I bought a $4,000 computer. When Apple says that computer's done, there's nothing you can do to it.
Yep.
There's nothing you can do to polish it up, spruce it up, give it a little midlife refresh.
Maybe
you spent
change the hard drive, but
$4,000.
that's about it. Yeah, but nothing on the actual computer side.
And now you're kind of stuck with it. So if you and also if you didn't buy high enough to anticipate your future needs, you're kind of locked in on a certain tier, unless you want to flip the whole system. And that to me just feels unnecessary, or it feels kind of wasteful.
Well, at a massive loss as well. I mean, if you
so to your point, sorry, that was a rambling way to get back to your point. To your point, I'm very much encouraged about the consumer laptop game. I think those options, even when they're kind of glued shut, I think you're still getting a value for performance for money that's very encouraging. As someone who likes to tinker with giant workstation grade steel chassis computer boxes, and I like to get my hands in the guts of that system, I'm a little anxious about where we might go at the pro level, making products that aren't really as pro as they used to be.
Yeah, no, and it's very much more pro to Apple now is more of horsepower. But it is all once everything is soldered on the board and everything is built, and only Apple can provide you with a different one. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting approach. If you let's say you bought the 16 gig RAM model, and let's say in a couple of years you're like, well, I need 32. Well, tough luck, my friend. You have to sell that entire thing at whatever loss, and then buy an entire new system and whatever the new hotness needs to be. I understand it from a business model why this is obviously very appealing to Apple, but from a consumer point of view, it
makes me a little anxious.
It's very like I when you say the word pro means professional, tinkering, the capabilities of doing things that the average model or the consumer model does not give you the ability of doing so. Yeah. Namely, changing the GPU, adding more RAM, changing the hard drive. Obviously, maybe adding better cooling or whatever. But at the end of the day, you're able to customize your experience. And if, for the lack of a better term, changing the GPU to improve the performance, because 90% of what we were leveraging in the past were all GPU based, right? Where we had AMD going in there, and they were going in and giving us some more of their performance improvements. But at the end of the day, what I'm looking at it right now, they're changing the playground, and everything is basically soldered on the board. You're getting the performance, but you're stuck. You're in a weird, like, you can't change anything. So there's some things to be excited about and some things that you can't. Like you said, that new system, the Studio, you can't really change anything on it. Yeah. I mean, you can hook up an extra hard drive on the outside, but
I do need to kind of
other IOs, and of course, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and again, that's what we won't know is what kind of IO will this box? I mean, are you going to be able to plug in external? I mean, again.
You have HDMI 2.0. You have
no. But what I mean is, and again, this is I'm starting to just regurgitate points from Dr. Ian's video. So instead of giving you a bad Cliff Notes version of what some of his concerns were, I would just highly recommend going to check it out.
I will definitely
because
do so.
It's extremely well thought out, and he even gets into. See, what I love about how he's been doing Tech Potatoes, he gets into the end of it, and you can literally watch him thinking through different solutions for CPU design. And he's like, well, but if they did this, then maybe that's part of the issue. But then the power management would be something else. So if they're comparing it to a 16-core CPU, they're probably looking at Alder Lake. But then if they're also looking at this, I mean, like, in real time, you're watching him try to suss out what this could mean or what some of the drawbacks might be. And me, just parroting what he said is an inadequate version. So I would highly recommend you guys.
I will definitely, yeah. Please, if everybody in the chat, if you're not already subscribed to Dr. Ian, Tech Potato, definitely. He's been with us in the chat in the past, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he's popped in. So, obviously a lot of things covered, a lot of things talked about at Apple. And we'll have to see once hardware starts shipping and people are able to start testing and using, and we'll see more videos about those.
But my general recommendations are very conservative. To me, something like the Mac Studio makes a ton of sense for like a film studio.
Yeah.
Where
Or
they're
an editor,
probably
if you have somebody
but they're
dedicated
probably buying a suite of machines for one specific film. And they're working in-house and developing on those machines. And then when that film breaks and those producers move on to other projects, the costs of operating that part of the studio just get rolled into the next project. And then they're going to go and buy whatever the new hotness is when that new movie needs to be produced. And so all those old machines either get scrapped or sold off. So if that's your workflow, then great. Until we get to see what the life cycle is like from these new MacBooks, from the new iMacs, and into these new Mac Studios, I would not recommend buying high right now until we see, like, does a Mac Studio 2 come out in 18 months with some crazy new CPU or SoC configuration that then all of the Mac OS software is dedicated to supporting that, rendering your older Mac Studio less supported or less effective. And I think that's fair because we see some of those cycles play out with Apple with other products. I would be very conservative.
For sure. Yeah.
I would just recommend people be somewhat conservative or just be realistic. Like, hey, I think this is the kind of machine in the power curve that I'm going to need for the next 6 years, and I'm comfortable kind of buying it and then not paying attention to anything else going on, just accepting the fact that Apple is in complete control and authority over your software experience for how that hardware is utilized.
And I think you have to, exactly. When you're getting into something like this, especially starting point at 2,000 or 4,000 with the Ultra, you'd have to make your decisions very clear. But like you said, the example actually makes perfect sense. Workstation, production style type of work makes perfect sense because that's all they're going to do.
But where the company is buying it for you.
Oh, absolutely. And it is an expense that you're able to roll from one project to another. It absolutely makes perfect sense.
I mean, in that case, jump on it.
For what you and I do on a daily,
someone else gets to buy...
I still
and I'm Ultra for
so
you.
For me, I find where the studio doesn't make sense to me is because I more than likely would like to be able to upgrade my GPU more often than I am to upgrade my CPU because 90% of my work is leveraged on the GPU, not leveraged on the CPU. And unless I hit a certain bottleneck where my motherboard and the bus speed and is not supporting the full potential of the new GPU, style of cards or whatever we're using at this point, I think that would be my only reason.
You had room to grow.
Exactly, and that's what the Pro is intended. Now, it is in many ways a gaming system, but it is a production style system for me, which is what I use. Yeah.
But that's what I loved about PC crossovers. Like before you could really get cost-effective mobile workstations or creator laptops, it was all about gaming laptops because you could get insane power in a ridiculously flimsy, plasticky shell, but you would save
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember, man.
Sorry,
we would hit the road with Jules, and Jules's laptop was monstrous, and it had one of those double brick power supplies, and it was so loud. But I mean, it was pretty cheap, and that thing had some powerful internals. I did want to just real quick. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but Michael Corcoran popped up a comment earlier. It was a while back. What do you think about the monitor strategy? So we're looking at like a $1,600 Mac display, UHD. Is it UHD? It's UHD resolution, 27-inch. No, like nothing fancy. I mean, it's 60 hertz. It's not even ProMotion.
No, but no. I don't think it's a UHD. I think it's a 5K display, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's
it's 5K. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 5K. It's not 4K. It's a 5K. It's essentially their.
But does it even have any like specific like HDR
I
qualifications.
want to. I don't. I want to say yes. I can't remember.
I'll start pulling it up. So
Yeah. No. No. The understand the way I saw it essentially is that it was supposed to be basically the 5K monitor that we've seen in the past, with same options to be able to basically upgrade it to get the the magic swivel, the stand that costs $1,000, and all of that good stuff. But the entire approach was essentially is to give you the opportunity to pick that monitor and match it to whatever studio that you wanted. You know what I mean? Like either be it the Max or the Pro, so that you didn't get basically. What I was hoping was essentially is that the studio was small enough to fit under or maybe mount behind the display, so that you could kind of get the iMac experience if somebody was looking for more of a unified kind of a approach. But yeah, no, it's a $1,600 5K monitor. I don't remember any HDR or kind of like certification, but it was intended to have the color calibration essentially for high resolution.
I mean, this thing is better than my new art monitor on every spec, but not by much. So I'm on a 27-inch 4K, so it is a higher resolution display.
Yeah.
Mine is just under 500 nits of brightness, somewhere in there, and this is 600 nits of brightness.
Yeah, yours is junk now, so I'm sorry.
My color calibration and color gamut support is just a hair behind this display, but my Innocent is somewhere around like a $400 monitor. So it's about a quarter of the cost.
No, which is what I think most people should do if they're paying $2,000, $4,000 on that. I mean, unless you have money to burn realistically, or
and
like you said.
I put it on just a universal standard swivel
the Visa
arm
mount.
Yeah. I mean, like at any point, I can just cover my camera with my art monitor, just so I can swivel my camera and my monitor.
Where did Juan go? What happened to Juan? And NVIDIA. Okay, I was gonna say, an NVIDIA broadcast was panicking.
Just blurred me completely out.
It's amazing. Like where's Juan? No. At the end of the day,
but this is also like an HDR, was it HDR 10 or HDR 10 plus certified monitor, whereas Apple isn't even playing with anything fun.
No,
like
because
that kind of HDR certification.
I'm very confident that Apple monitors are well calibrated color wise. I'm not saying that they're meeting certain standards, but they're definitely very well put together, well built, very good color calibration, and great for production for all of their users. I feel like I said, it was what we saw right now was a Mac. It was basically an iMac 27 or 24 inch disassembled, and now we're buying the components separately. The monitor's by itself, because we didn't hear about any iMacs, and we're getting the component basically to the studio level, either Max Studio or Ultra Studio. So again, more ways like to get into a base. What the model would have been an iMac if it was with the Max. You're looking at $3,600 with the base configuration, right? You go to the Ultra, you're close to now. You're going into $5,600. So it got more expensive. That's literally what it is. It's like the Frontier way of selling you an airline ticket. The ticket may seem a little smaller at some point, but when you add all the options that you really want out of it, you're paying more. Yeah, at the end of the day, it matches. This is Apple's shtick for some time. Nothing's new here. But let's say Apple did a lot of stuff. We talked about a lot of stuff at Apple. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of things that kind of go on there, and there's that whole vacuum of what Apple does. But I'm actually a little bit more interested to see about some of the stuff that you were trying to do with the Vivo, because you got the Vivo back, and I know we've been busy with other things, like the Pocos kind of took some of our time, and I know you weren't able to get back into the Vivo for your baby. Oh man, seriously, when I saw him when I saw Juan earlier this week, I wanted to take that phone away from him and just like, go, man, just go back. Don't worry about it.
Run to the hills.
Yeah, I tried, except it was more around my hills, and that wouldn't. But
I won't. Oh, it's been great. I mean, first of all, thank you for taking such good care of it. It is miserable to buy accessories for. So I've got a really crappy glass screen protector on there right now, which has kind of broken the fingerprint sensor. It does not work at all.
Okay.
But I just wanted something to protect the screen because I've been shooting really heavy.
I felt bad when I had it because the pre-installed screen protector
the TPU guard is garbage.
Well, no,
it's so bad.
It was the not the case, like, the display,
the screen protector. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So they have a pre-installed TPU screen protector that, I mean, in the first day that I had it, was bubbling and peeling off the sides of the phone. It is
The
not
whole
good.
time. Yeah,
And
and I
it
was
took
like,
me 2 weeks to order one, a glass screen protector, and it shipped in from China,
I was
and
gonna say.
it's awful. It's really bad.
Oh, so
It's
that was the
ruined the
package you
fingerprint
posted
sensor.
about, right? Is that
Yep.
that? Yeah.
Because
So I saw the.
buying accessories for import phones, man, it is not fun.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Yeah, I know. That's
But
why
but
I appreciate when they include a case. If nothing else, I
that
appreciate
helps.
when they yeah, at least include a case. So yeah.
So but the reason why, and I'm trying to baby this phone a little bit, is because I have been taking it out pretty heavy. I've been shooting a lot on it. It's now starting to kind of creep up as being one of my main B-roll
Rightfully so, man.
kinds of
I
cameras.
was using it as a
So good.
solid B-roll camera.
Yeah.
Seriously, when I had it, I did not grab. I didn't reach for any phone. That was the phone I reached for. Like it
So
was like
I,
memory wise. Yeah.
I got it back from you, and you did. I mean, and again, thank you for taking care of it, and then also running those updates, because I got it back. It was wiped out. It was clean, fresh, and ready to go with Android 12.
Yep.
But I started taking it out, and I'm shooting B-roll with it, and I'm starting to notice like the image that I'm getting out of this. I mean, the configuration that I've got. This is an $1,100 phone, but so much of the image quality, the look of the photos, the look of the video, especially off the main sensor, it doesn't look like it's far off from what I can do with my mirrorless cameras.
Yeah.
And so
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
so I had to try and crunch the math on that. I talked about this a little in last week's podcast because I had kind of blown up at David Burns. Dave Burns has already gone to bed, so he's not going to be able to corroborate this story.
Corroborate.
But my workhorse camera is a Panasonic Lumix G9. This is micro four thirds. I'm on this right now. I've got a 12 to 35, which is kind of like having a 24 to 70 on a full frame camera. And I just kept looking at photos from this and comparing them to photos from my Vivo, and I had to put together a video sort of detailing what some of those experiences were, and that video is going to go live tomorrow morning, Friday the 11th, if anyone's catching this on the replay.
Yeah.
And the results, again, the way that I'm teasing this, I don't think the results are going to be too surprising. But the way that the math on these types of lenses, apertures, crop factors, sensor comparisons, pixel size comparisons, the way that these two stack up against each other is kind of an incredible place to be for smartphone photography. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be very excited to publish that video tomorrow.
And the same thing for me. Is it going Patreon first or is it YouTube?
Oh, it's
follow-up?
it's actually in preview on the Patreon. So
Absolutely.
there's the higher tier on my Patreon where you will get the occasional sneak peek at some of these big videos that I'm putting together. But it's gonna go, the 4K version is gonna go live on the Patreon, and then the 1080p public version is gonna go live tomorrow morning.
Perfect. So yeah, if
Yeah.
for everybody that's watching this or listening to this on the replay or watching it, Juan has a very nice small knit community that he babies and he works with. He has his own, obviously his own Discord as well as his own little subreddit, Glowing Rectangles. But he also has his own Patreon, which is what, if you'd like to get early access to some of the deep dives that he does. Which is always amazing and so nice to be able to get a little bit of a sneak peek on that.
But-
So,
I am critically excited because it definitely strikes at some of the conversation that we've been having. I feel like tech reviewers in particular have kind of undersold what some of these new camera improvements really represent. And if you've ever listened to a reviewer pick up a phone like an S20 Ultra, the sensor size on the S20 Ultra really started us off on a very different conversation about photography and capturing photographic images, cinematic video. And if you've ever sat through a video, we're like, but what does it do for average consumers? They are fundamentally missing the point about what these kinds of improvements can deliver. And when I hopefully when you see my video tomorrow and you can see kind of some of the comparison that I'm trying to create here, your ability to use one of these premium expensive phones, you can take it to surprisingly far. You can drive that camera surprisingly hard. You can stack it up against some incredible competition. It's a very different. But I just did full auto, and the snapshots weren't as good as another phone, and that's average people. Like, no, this is a $1,200 phone, and I can compare it to $2,200 worth of mirrorless camera, and I think you're going to see some interesting results.
I'm looking forward to seeing some, at least the pictures that I'm in, because I'd love to see how those came out. So I will be doing a very, very small cameo in that video if you guys are interested. So
but again, someone who's joining that conversation in Bionic Scoop, he's running his own YouTube channel. He's an incredible photographer. Again, if you understand cameras and lenses and optics and light, you very quickly stop listening to techies because they really don't know what they're talking about with cameras. They really don't. But if you appreciate being able to craft an image, compose your shot, and you're not afraid to do just like a little editing, which so many people do through filters or through editing
I was about
apps.
to say, yeah, we all do that unintentionally, not really realizing that we're doing it. But even professionals,
every image gets a little touch up.
Exactly. Even if you don't do anything and you just push it through any type of system like Instagram or whatever, the compression
get
on
compressed
by
too,
itself, by itself,
Exactly.
like YouTube even. Yeah, no, I know. It's the never-ending story of content, and how is it really represented online as how you really thought it was going to look like, kind of a thing. But
I'm focused. Sorry, I'm just going to wrap this up, and then we can wrap up because we should probably cover some Android 12 ground at the end of all this.
Yeah.
But I am very encouraged. I'm very anxiously excited to see this current crop of mega sensor phones. I focused this conversation on the Vivo for one very specific hardware difference over some of these other phones. But if you're on a Note 20 Ultra to a Note 22, if you want to get your hands on an Xperia Pro I, if you want to play with the Vivo, if you want to play with a Pixel 6, is in this territory. The base model Pixel 6 gets us very close to what I'm going to describe in this video for not a lot of money, but delivering some of those advantages. That takes this conversation to a completely different tier of artistic creation, expression, productivity, and if you're into content at all, if you want to just make better memories for your family and friends, there are very good reasons to start shopping phones specifically built with these kinds of camera sensors in mind.
Well, not only just the sensors, but also the stabilization technology that we have in there. The X70 Pro Plus has a really good stabilization, which not only helps it for regular photography and video shooting, but also nighttime low light performance on this is also, which is crazy good. I kid you not. There was a battle with me when I was at CES. Do I open up my bag and try to set up my A7 IV, or do I just grab the phone that will do?
I can just get the shot right now.
Yeah, no, but that's what it is. When you're on a crunch and and this is really where the true test is, right? It's sometimes you have the time to set up the shot. Sometimes you have the time to compose and do all of that. But there are times that you don't. Especially when you're doing this as an actual job, like and things like that. You're covering an event. CES is a perfect example. MWC is a perfect example for that. You need to be able to not only know exactly, but rely and know what tool to bring out. And that could be a big difference. But the X70 Pro Plus as a camera system, just on the primary sensor on the back, I've seen so much, like not just the color science, but the performance, the versatility, the ease of use. May not be the snappiest Android device on the market, but it still is quite powerful enough to give me and do everything I wanted. The microphones on it are absolutely phenomenal.
It's so good.
it is one of those, like when you find a piece of hardware that works so well, as good as your DSLR or a mirrorless camera, you start questioning, like, really, like, why am I spending so much?
Well, I try to address some of that because obviously I'm not going to be getting rid of my investment in Micro Four Thirds.
Dang it!
Lens selection.
I thought this was going to be the thing that gets you out of
Gets me over to
Lumix. I want to get you. Yeah, I just just sell Nothing's wrong with Lumix, man. But let's get you over on an A7.
But it's just so
whatever.
Cute. Again,
it's a good camera. It's a good camera. I'm just kidding.
Think about like when you get yourself like a decent fast prime in Sony land, and it's like you've got a coffee can sticking off the front of your phone. I mean, have you ever seen my 17mm f1.8
on the Canon?
No, on my Lumix.
Oh yeah.
Well, I just got to show it because this is so cute. It's smaller than a stack of extension tubes. That's a fast prime in Micro Four Thirds land.
I was about to say, Micro Four Thirds. You had you have the benefit. Don't get me wrong. I'm getting myself back into crop, APS-C sensors.
What? I've got a 20mm pancake prime. Hold on, let me show you this. This is the cutest thing you've ever seen. It looks like a lens cap for a Sony.
I still have my my 50mm prime on, which is probably about the same thickness on my Canon.
My first knuckle is taller than the lens.
No, I'm totally with you, and I think it's more.
It's adorable.
For me, it is absolutely. But what happened for me is I went with full frame sensors on everything, with the exception of my top down, and I decided to go with the E10, which up to this point it was actually kind of doing well. But then I seriously started seeing some of the limitations of using an E10 when I go to cover an event. The A7 IV was the right camera to take with me to CES. The A10 was not the right camera, so I kind of leveraged my work a little bit more towards, mobile photography. I started really focusing more about using the, here, what we get the P50 Pro, because I had to fall back on something.
I completely
you left me high and dry.
I completely neglected that in my video, but that is like, if you care about photography, if that is like a core motivating aspect of what gets you into mobile technology, you can make some compromises for Huawei's software issues and talk about a hardware strategy that is, it's a force to be reckoned with in smartphone photography still.
With the limitations of the ability of being able to take content off this phone and transferring it and all of that, I still enjoy using the phone, and this is why it's still in my rotation, and it'll be with me whenever I'm taking it. So like for me, like I said, when you find the right piece of tech that sings that hums to the tune that you like, it's like
we vibrate at the same frequency.
You're able to basically, so for me that's the level of excitement that I have for these devices. So absolutely, I can't wait for the video tomorrow. Sorry, I know I kind of hung on the concept for a little bit too long, but I really like the X70 Pro Plus. I really like that phone. It is not me trying to make you say things. No, I seriously like the phone.
It's so good.
It is,
and it's crazy. It's really exciting because it helps confirm a direction that I hope we travel. If you just want simple snapshotty point and shoot photography, please start shopping more aggressively in the $400 to $600 range, and you're going to be flush with incredible ease of use. Yep. Simple. Again, I've got 3 Pixels on my desk right now. The Pixel stack is phenomenal for just point camera, get HDR colors, and it's great.
The 5A, the 5, the 6, the 6 Pro.
If you have an Ultra, a high-end Sony, a Vivo, a Pixel 6 Pro or a Pixel 6, one of these Huawei's, and you haven't tried pushing that camera a little harder, you are leaving so much gadget money on the table right now.
Absolutely.
It's like you paid all this money for the gadget. You want to get
you should
all of the money.
If for somebody, whomever decides to buy a phone or any piece of hardware that is considered to be either prosumer or more, obviously premium or flagship, truly investigate what you're buying, because throwing the money at a gadget just because you threw that much money at it doesn't really make sense. You're buying a label, you're not going to really get the benefit of it, and at that point, you're not even looking for content coverage from what we do. But if you really want to be able to drive what you have and truly get the full benefit of it, there are devices. There are obviously not everything is perfect. This is the weird part. There's never going to be a situation. X70 Pro Plus for me, I would have loved to be able to use it as a daily driver, but again, I can't use it here because it doesn't support my bands. So there are some limitation. And here, although I'm able to get connectivity and everything, I can't do nearby share. I can't use standard normal Android things, which does change the experience, but seriously, once you understand what you're doing and how to benefit from it, it works great for what I needed. Content creation off of it. It runs with the 888. I mean, it's a 4G chip, but it still runs the power of the 888. And I'm able to shoot, edit, produce content, upload straight, do everything I want on there. Great microphone array. Huawei's been known amazingly well for those ever since the Mate 20, I think, or even the P30s. So just do some research into the tech that you're looking for. I'm sure there's enough content to cover it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I'm going back to the APS-C form factor when it comes to Sony's is from a recommendation from a buddy of mine that uses it as his B-roll camera. It's the A6400, which I'm kind of a little bit bummed. It was supposed to be delivered today, but apparently not today. It looks like maybe tomorrow. So, yeah, hoping for a good Friday. So
it's going to be great.
It's going to be a great weekend. I'll be sure.
Well, and also Barry said that like you should be checking. Hopefully tomorrow, another Vivo might be showing up on your doorstep.
I love it.
I'm just saying it's a little less camera focused, but it's a little more performance focused, and it's got a fingerprint sensor that I think is going to rock your socks.
That you can't miss. Let's say that.
An in-display fingerprint sensor
you can't miss. You can blindly unlock the phone. But
while we still have some people hanging out and stuff, we got to spend a little time with some of the Team Pixel folks this afternoon.
It was actually exciting, get to see some group. Isa was hosting, and being a really good MC for the show was nice.
So anytime I get to hang out with Isa is really just going to be a good time in general. She is very good people. But we should probably detail a little bit, because I think I personally was a little surprised at how aggressive Google was in getting Android 12.1, formerly known as Android 12L, out into public distribution. And we're actually starting to see this update filter. They're doing that staged Pixel release where it's going to take a little time to get the out, but
sometimes we are somehow on the bottom of that list. I don't know how we got there, but
last.
I'm always last. Like the December thing, I thought it was a fluke, but apparently that was because they pulled it. Whatever. Anyways, but seriously, like whenever they push an update, I think New York side, East Coast style of US gets it, Europe gets it, and I'm on the literally last. So this is why I'm going to be side loading it as tomorrow morning. So yeah. If the builds are available on the Android side, I'm just gonna, on the developer side, I'm just gonna download and sideload. I can't wait. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm the guy that basically is like, I don't like it. I fix it.
I just always forget like one step in sideloading. I was trying to ADB my 5A.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why isn't it working? Oh, right. I forgot to do the volume power button press to get me into this recovery
fast boot mode. Yeah. You got to be in fast boot. You can't be in ADB, or you could just basically ADB reboot fast boot, and that should take you automatically. But again, I was going through and I was trying to the last time I did this, and it didn't work. Why wouldn't that have worked? And then, of course, it was because I missed something dumb. But Android 12.1, I don't think that this is the critical, exciting update for phones. No,
not until it starts hitting the Fold and the Duo. But it is nice to see some of the expanded feature sets. This is coming also as part of a feature drop, where Pixels are going to be getting a little bit smarter about detailing different languages and supporting
adding a couple exciting languages. Spanish.
Yeah.
So for me, I would have definitely been benefit. I mean, don't get me wrong, my Spanish is not exactly super bad, but
my Spanish is awful. There are a few times they're like, I think TK might actually speak Spanish better than I do.
I was surprised how much I understood and I was able to converse when I was in Barcelona, because I had my whole crew of friends knows good. Not one of them speaks a word of Spanish, because most of them are either Arabic or mostly other sites. For me, it was more about Because I mean, as you know, long time ago, back in 2017 or so, I went to Barcelona and I was there by myself for a week. So I had to stay and do and converse with a whole bunch of people by myself in very broken Spanish. But apparently, as time went on, it got much better. And I don't know if it was just the way things are. Most most people in Spain were not very perturbed by my Spanish. They were very comfortable like conversing with me because it was very like either that or we have nothing with these guys. I was actually able to do well, but I would have enjoyed having some local translation built in with the new feature drop that they
Yeah.
taught. So we have Spanish, not, and I don't think it's Catalan. I think it's just the way that was described was as Spanish. So I'm assuming the more familiar Spanish. I mean, the way they described it, I think was more, it's enough to get you by if you don't have internet access. But if you really need specifics, it's recommended to use the online connectivity for better, language and dialects. I think the dialects is the biggest thing. English doesn't have as much, but like in Arabic, there is so many dialects in Arabic, and in Spanish, this is the same thing. Depending where you are, what
A
part
lot
of
of different flavors.
Yeah, if you're from Honduras, you're from Mexico. If you're from Spain, they're totally different. So,
I mean, because I'm New Mexican and we have a very whiny Spanglish dialect, I've always been a really big fan of Argentinian Spanish. I feel like that's the sexy, and then other Spanishes are pretty good too.
It is, but it's
not as
exciting
good
to
as
see.
Argentinian.
It's exciting to see that Spanish is being adopted as well as Italian. I can't wait to see when Arabic becomes a language that's supported offline, and especially for live translations, because I feel like that's also something the Middle East will benefit more. But at some point, it's all kind of a gradual thing. But on-device machine processing is always appreciated, and it's one of the benefits of having a Pixel, which is nice. So I mean, it was a couple of things there. And I think there was one more, right? What was that other one?
This one's actually been frustrating that because of all of the Android 12L articles, if you just do a basic search for what was the Android 12.1 feature drop, you never get there. Even on the Google, it's like, oh, well, here's all the rumors for 12L official. Like, no. There's an official Google Pixel blog. Just tell me what the feature drops are. Google on your own search engine. What the heck? So if you'll give me one more second, I'm going to pull that up on the official Pixel blog, and we can chat about that.
Because so one of the other things they talked about also was better integration with Snapchat.
Snapchat.
So night sight supporting into Snapchat, which honestly I think it's something that it's nice. It's nice to be able to get some of those functionalities into other applications. We already knew from, I think, ever since the Pixel 4 that camera performance was improved on Pixel devices because I want to say it was Instagram and it was Snapchat at the time that they got.
Well, Snap was always has been one of the biggest ones that they've been talking about. Where the camera software, the camera APIs are communicating more directly with the social media apps.
Absolutely.
I don't know that Instagram is
I want to say, maybe I'm confusing Instagram with Samsung, because at some point Samsung had an Instagram mode.
Samsung and Instagram. So Samsung would build Instagram uploading directly into their camera app, but if you go through,
they took that away. That was purely an S10. I want to say maybe S20.
It was a while back. But if I go
into
into Instagram on my Pixel and I snap a photo, this is you know what I should do is actually just do a straight up comparison. I've snapped a photo from the Pixel camera app. I've snapped a photo from the Instagram camera app.
And then it's Instagram, and see exactly how which one would you choose?
Exactly. But the exciting part is getting proper night sight support directly into Snap. So especially one of the features that I think Google has helped popularize, even though the Vivo does it better now, is low light, long exposure. I don't know what did I say? No, his pixels are great. The Vivo does better.
Oh my god!
It's exciting where you can be in Snap, and you still have way more access to what makes a Pixel camera really solid, and you don't have to jump out and then jump back in.
Ooh, okay. TK is going to be running tomorrow morning. Okay, sorry, keep going.
I'm just saying, if you know,
I didn't know. Barry's hitting me with some amazing information. It's going to make me. Not
I'm just saying
sleep well
tomorrow
tonight.
should be a pretty fun day.
Tomorrow's
for
gonna be
TK
camera
Bay.
day, apparently. Yeah, it's gonna be the shit. It's gonna be the Bay, baby. It's gonna be the Bay, and I'm not talking
yeah.
BAY, BAE, baby, all the way.
Just did the full lip bite. So yeah, that to me I think is one of those critical user lifestyle kinds of features where I understand I'm going to get the best results by using the manufacturer's camera app with the manufacturer's hardware.
Absolutely.
This is an olive branch to the rest of the smartphone community where they can be in a social media app and still expect that they're going to get an experience and a photography quality that's closer to their manufacturer's app.
Yeah.
So I don't use Snap. This isn't something that's going to change my life.
Same thing.
But,
yeah, unfortunately.
But I can appreciate that this is likely a significant quality of life improvement for a lot of Snap users.
Oh, absolutely, and we're talking also about people that may have the Pixel 5a, the Pixel 5 even from last year.
Actually, the 5a and the 5 are going to get it before the Pixel 6.
You're joking, but no, that's a serious point. And more than
I'm
likely,
laughing. I'm not joking.
They will get the feature way faster. But I mean, I think of it at that price point also for somebody that getting maybe a first smartphone or something like that, or even when the 6a comes out. This is definitely going to be something that makes sense perfectly for them. For me, I don't use the native editors that are built into the system for either Reels or for TikToks or even for. I mean, I don't use Snapchat, but for those systems, I like editing my videos in a separate application. I like to have full control into what I'm doing, and I like the consistency of the editor that gives me the functionality that I need. So Snapchat for me works great. Works across multiple devices. I can use it on Android. I mean, obviously, I'm using it on Android, but I'm saying as I can use it on like a Samsung. I can use it on a Huawei, and I can also use it on other devices. Although surprisingly, different devices get better treatment. Like Samsung devices can render in 4K, where Huawei can only render at 1080. But for me, 1080 60 is the best. So it hasn't been a big of a concern. It's nice to see that it's coming. I want to see more functionality. But I feel like at the end of the day, realistically, getting that compatibility with the more popular applications is going to come down to a business agreement. Companies need to talk to each other. They need to work with each other. The way the gentleman that was talking about this afternoon about how long it took them to get Snap to even just get this thing running right, the amount of meetings back and forth and synergy between two separate companies and teams, it's a lot of work. It's not as easy as we think of it being importing an APK.
It's definitely been another one of those things that's contributed to my negative experiences on Instagram, where they're just so upfront about how little they want to encourage Android users to participate with their platform. And you can make it, well, the iPhones had the bestest cameras, so that's really the people that we want on there. But after a point, that also becomes kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of diminishing the experience for everyone else. Why would I continue to keep supporting, especially like recently, the photo quality on Twitter has taken a noticeable step up, and like that's silly. Twitter actually becoming a better place for me to share photos. I need something like a new a new for 2022 version of like Flickr, a more up-to-date, modern, photographer-centric social media site.
Yeah, no, I think this is the thing. I've noticed that as well. Twitter's been doing. I feel like for me, it's still somewhat of a weird balance between Twitter and Instagram. I feel like because Twitter kind of went away from the vertical video type of experience, because they did that, they tried and they kind of went away from it. I've been focusing more on Instagram, where I feel like Instagram is becoming the new TikTok type of experience. I see more reels now than I see actual images. I very rarely see images just being posted. But
yeah, I'm kind of an old fuddy-duddy whenever I'm like, oh, I'll just share a photo.
It's a photo site still. Do kids these days still share photos? Or do they have to just shoot a whole video and everything has to have trick shots and everything? And you get to have the slow-mo phone where you throw the phone in the air.
Do these crash zooms and stuff like that, transitions,
There are some serious professional. I mean, I tip my hat off.
Oh,
to
yeah,
some
some
of the
incredible
creative-
stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely, the level of creativity on a reel is
That's why
is-
I have zero patience for techies that are like average consumers. And you're like, I want you to see on TikTok right now is some lady in Poughkeepsie who's shooting TikToks that are responses to other TikToks that incorporate footage, have transitions, have edits. She's chroma keying her footage so she can have a backdrop. And like she's doing this on an iPhone 8. So shut up and stop talking about average as if this woman is like a knuckle dragging mouth breather, and start accepting the fact that consumers are doing radically advanced photo and video manipulation. They're just not using desktop editors to do it.
and a DSLR camera sitting on there. Yeah, like I said, it's the introduction of reels and introduction of short, and the way I covered CES this year has been very different than the way I've ever covered any other live event. And it made it a lot less cumbersome for me to actually have to kind of shoot a proper full frame video and so on. Snippets, little things that you want to share. It's easy, it's quick, you can get in and get out of, but you still have the ability of being creative, adding text or
for sure.
voiceover, text, all of that good stuff. All done from your phone, not once ever having to touch a laptop, touch anything. Upload it straight from your phone to the platform that you need to work with. I will say thank you to Instagram mostly for allowing me to be able to start posting pictures from desktop experience now without having to jerry rig it to make it think I'm running on a mobile device. So
how many times we would play with different like browser plugins just to change
just to be able to
if
post
I change
because
my device ID, maybe it'll let me. Nope, they broke that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say it worked for a while, so I will say that for that much I appreciate, but the experience for me. Stock camera always export, edit, produce, and then all I'm doing is uploading a project, a pre-rendered and pre-done file up there. So yeah, with that being said, I'm hoping to see more support for 12L, 12.1. I will load it and then we'll see obviously some of the new benefits. Snap, I think if I'm not mistaken, is going to be coming in as part of an update. It's not necessarily straight up just the camera itself. So I think we need to wait for Snap. But as far as,
again, they need to work together on incorporating those APIs. The other one that looked kind of interesting was that new, more dynamically resizable battery widget.
Yes.
That's not revolutionary, but again, it's just one of those nice little touches, going all the way back to what I think the Pixel 4a is getting this update. Is that how far it's going back?
I want to say yes, because the three is the last one that lost. The 3 and the 3A.
3A might still be on.
3A may get it. I think the 3 may not because the 3A came out.
I'm real good at the
following
tech and memorizing all this stuff.
Yes. The only reason.
Sorry, I had it up in front of me. Today's update marks our 10th Pixel feature drop. The latest updates begin rolling out to Pixel 3a through 5a devices today, while Pixel 6 and 6 Pro devices will begin receiving their updates later this month.
Yeah, so which means I won't be able to install it tomorrow morning. Anyways, so I'll just go ahead and fire up my. Oh no, I already installed Pixel 13 on that.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh geez.
Oh no. I have a 5A here somewhere. I have a 5A somewhere. I'll get my 5A out and I'll get a chance to play with it.
I'm telling you, like right now, what we were just talking about with like social media stuff, how solid the Pixel cameras have been. Increasingly, like the 5A is just a monster of a mainstream user device.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is still, I think, this might be my favorite build quality for a Pixel. The price performance is good. I mean, you can find a Poco that's going to beat this in every synthetic benchmark. But this kind of software attention, polish, feature updates, it never seemed to suffer the same kinds of Android 12 teething pains that the Pixel 6s went through. The 5A has just been a little champ of a phone. This has been so solid to use.
The Pixel 6 and 6 Pro are apparently on a permanent second track update style because of the way they need to baby them with the configuration.
And Tensor,
yeah, Tensor for sure. So I totally understand why it's taking a little bit longer. But yeah, the 4A for me has Android 13. So the 5A, I'll go ahead and load up 12.1 on it tomorrow.
You know what I really need to do is dig out my Pixel 4 XL. I just need to have a little personal time because how much I really, really loved that phone. But I really need to like polish it up, get it all updated, get all the apps updated up to speed, and then really give it a good run.
You're probably set for a few, at least like an hour or so worth of updates and so on.
No, it's going to be longer than that. But
I was trying to be
you were being
conservative.
kind. I appreciate
very.
it.
But even Tech Bro, I love it. I can't really remember random arbitrary bits of it.
So lately, it's been camera sensor sizes. That's what I've been memorizing. So I've been really lax on my other my other tech memorization duties.
There's just so many different variants and so many little things. Like I said, honestly, I remember that there was some collaboration with companies, and I know Instagram and Snap were both there. I forgot the fact that I think I mixed up because I know you're right. Samsung was the one that did Instagram, and it wasn't even that good of an app. It was purely an image. It wasn't video. You take an image, and all it did was realistically, it just shares the image in, and it allows it to be a slightly higher, better quality because it was straight out of the camera.
It was like having a separate button just to not push the share button.
Just so that you don't go into the Instagram app and hit. To me, it was a weird thing. But at the end of the day, whatever tool you have, whatever system you have, whatever device you have, use it to its full potential. Do not it's like leaving money on the table, right? You paid for this device, you may be paying for it on installment or so on. You need to be able to actually get the full benefit of it. 12.1 or 12L obviously are trying to focus more on desktop experiences and giving us better experiences with foldables. There are massive rumors talking about the foldable Pixels that are going to be coming out, obviously with the Pixel smartwatch also coming in. I can't wait to see and hear what other things are going to be coming out there. The language support that we heard about, obviously exciting to see more things. Obviously, we want to hear and see more things running there on device. Anything that helps us run and perform better without having to rely on internet connectivity when you're traveling is always going to be really nice. So we talked about a lot of things. I want to say I was very, I'm not going to lie, the best part of my week this week, with the fact that obviously we have a thing waiting for me tomorrow that I'm going to be running to get it, was actually getting a chance to hang out with you, man. It was nice.
No, absolutely mine too,
It was cool. I got it. Juan kind of came over and finally visited my little studio hole in the wall that I have in here. And, believe it or not, with all the years we've been hanging out and all that stuff, it's always been me going to his house.
Yeah.
Because he keeps changing his houses, and every time I go, it's like a different place.
I've moved so many times.
Seriously, in the amount of time I've known him, he's moved 3 times. And the thing about it is, like I said, it was just nice. We got a chance to hang out. We kicked it a little bit. It was a short time, but it was nice. We didn't do a live stream or anything like that. I mean, we'll save that for next time.
We had a bagel, so that was enough. It
was just a chill morning, kicking it, kind of having a good time. So. I'm looking forward to seeing what we have next week, obviously, with more things coming out. There's some things coming out that I can't talk about right now yet, but I'm sure will be a very good center conversation for us next week. I'll keep it as vague as that. Maybe that's the best way to say it.
Tease.
Isn't that always the story, though? It's like, there's that thing I can't talk about, but we can talk about next time. No. I don't know what to do. It's late. It's Thursday. And I'm a little loopy at this point. I mean, you saw how the stream started, right? It was, you know the level.
I mean, I feel like we stuck the middle pretty well. But now I'm definitely getting to that point. Is like I'm thinking about the bourbon I'm probably going to crack into after we're done with this.
See, but so I will say this. Thank you very much for everybody for hanging out with us, kicking it with us, and hanging out with us this Thursday evening on the 10th of March, 2022. I nailed it on the first time. I'll see you guys, of course, in a couple of days on Saturday with the Android Bay. We'll kind of like close out the week. And as always, we'll always start up the week again with Juan on Monday morning at 9 a.m. with the SGGQA. I love how we have it kind of just locked. Monday, Thursday, Saturday, bam.
Now, I also want to throw a shout out. There's a whole crew of YouTubers that are doing phenomenal streams over the entire week. We've got
absolutely.
Lou, who also Tech for Your Needs, and that's also on Monday. We've got Gadget Goddess. We've got Holla at Your Boy and LaShawn. We've got Easy Computer Solutions. I believe that's Wednesdays. Tech King Mike and Ike, the Mike and Ike. tech streams. That happens before our streams
our
on
show.
Thursdays. What is Fridays? LaShawn's Ignorant Hours. And then over the weekend, we've got you streaming Saturdays. And doesn't Jeff do his streams on Sundays?
I
Or do I have El Jefe Reviews channel
I think
off?
No, I think Jeff's is on. I thought Jeff's was more in the middle of the week, if I remember correctly. Because
No. I mean, he's usually doing weekends now. He was doing like weekdays a while back, but now I'm pretty sure El Jefe Reviews is now over the weekend. But streams on Sundays. So thank you. Okay, so you literally have amazing tech streams happening every day. So from my Monday morning to Tech for Your Needs Monday afternoon, Gadget Goddess on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is Easy Computer Solutions. Not Jeff. Scott Peachy. When does Scott stream? Is that Wednesdays also?
I want to say it's Wednesday. I wanted
because I think he might be before Easy Computers. So yeah. So basically, what I think we might at some point need to do, and I'll reach out to some people and maybe try and make like a loose like playlist. But we could have a tech television network style daily live stream. Some incredible creators and lots of really fun conversations from different perspectives too, because it's not all just Juan soapboxing about like net neutrality and like tech and politics.
So yeah, he streamed yesterday on Wednesday. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So Peachy also in there too. So and thank you, Barry. Yeah, it's Wednesday right before Easy stream. So yeah, literally every day of the week, you've got your pick of some phenomenal creators to follow, to listen to interact with, especially on like Easy stream and Gadget Goddess's stream. The chats are phenomenal. I love lurking just to kind of keep up with the chat. It's a really good crew of techies doing some fun work.
No, it's amazing, but you're right. There is something every day that you're able to pick up on.
There's now something every day.
And if you're, at least for our show as well, I know it's some of the other ones as well. We also have an audio podcast that's going to be coming up hopefully in the next day or so. So if you didn't get a chance to catch it on the live in the video and getting all that goodness, beauty all over the place here, we are definitely going to be available on the replay. So I will say this. Be good to yourself, and try to enjoy life and enjoy your tech. This is at the end of the day what we're trying to do. We may have our commentary, we may have our point of views. At the end of the day, it is intending to obviously push the limits of what we can do and allow us to enjoy more. So be safe, stay safe. Thank you, Juan, for hanging out with us another night. Thanks to everybody hanging out with us in the chat as always. We will see you next week for another episode of the best of our week. By the way, we just turned 60 today, so way to go.
Hey, 40
that's
more. That's right. I missed that.
Sorry, I just remembered it. I'm the one who kind of did the whole thing in the background. But anyways, we're on our way. Can't believe we have 60 under our belt. And I can't wait to share with you guys next week what I think of the little package that was delivered apparently not that long ago, and we will definitely be enjoying that. So. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.